I would first like to invite you to present yourself and your university program.
Sure. My name is Eric Lucrezia. I work at ESSEC Business School, and we're located in Paris, France, in Singapore, and in Morocco.
Great. And what makes your program different and unique from all the rest?
From all the rest, well, one of the things is ESSEC Business School was originally funded by Jesuits. Now, although today we're completely a secular school, absolutely not religious, I think that is something that has stayed within our DNA of the school. It has always given us a more humanistic approach to business that you see in our professors, in the companies that we're associated with, as well as the type of participants we attract into the program. That's the first thing. Secondly, we are what we consider to be a boutique model MBA. That is to say, we don't have a huge class, and that is by design. So we keep it quite small, about 80 to 100 people participating per year in the program, which allows for a lot, I would say, more close relationships between participants, to professors, to career services and administration, and a very, I would say, personalized experience.
Great. What kind of questions should applicants ask the business school representatives so that they make a good impression during an interview?
Okay, so I think it's, first of all, very important to show in your essays as well as your interview that you've really done your homework, that you've done, the right amount of research, you know yourself, that you know the school that you're talking to. It would probably be a good idea to avoid confusing details about one school that you're also interviewing or applying for with ours, to show that you care and you're paying attention, and that you're really motivated to be part of ESSEC Business School.
Great. How important is the application essay compared to test scores? What do you pay most attention to in an application essay?
First of all, I should say that I think the interview is for sure the most important thing, but then followed by probably your experiences, so your resume, along with your essay questions, and then perhaps the GMAT. The GMAT is a very useful tool for business schools to help filter who is an appropriate candidate, to see if they have the right level of skill to, say, perform in the academic classes we have. But it also is very limited. It doesn't tell us anything about the person's leadership experiences, international experiences, and it is a standardized test that one can train for. So I even have doubts about its effectiveness. But the essays is something that gives us a glimpse into the person's, first of all, ability to express their ideas, their level of English, and it sort of pushes them to think through their career goals in such a way that it corresponds to ESSEC Business School, and it helps us understand if this person is somebody that we can help promote in their career.
Is there any part of the application package that can compensate for a low test section score, and vice versa, a high test section score to balance a weakness in the application?
Sure. So something I had said before was that the interview is for sure the most important thing. So if you have a really great interview and your essays are strong, you have wonderful references, your experiences are solid, and I think there's a logical bridge between what you've done and your future goal, that a lower GMAT score or GRE score is less of a problem. I think also conversely, if you've maybe not had such a strong interview, but your GMAT has gone well, this can compensate. So I think it's all about balance. Certainly at ESSEC, we look at the full package of the application.
Great. What is the financial support you offer to candidates, and what is the most important part of the application package for getting a scholarship?
So for financial support, ESSEC offers quite a number of generous scholarships that are what I consider to be internal or ESSEC scholarships, as well as partner scholarships, which are coming from a variety of sources, such as partner companies, alumni associations, etc. So these are opportunities that are pretty much easy because they're automatic. You apply for the program, and then upon admission, assuming you're admitted, you're told congratulations, and these are the scholarships for which you qualify. So that's pretty straightforward. In addition to that, the partner scholarships usually require an additional essay and have their own deadline, so that's separate. Besides money that you don't have to pay back, there are student loans that most people look into, and we're currently developing a relationship with Prodigy, which should be operational by this August, September, which will provide low-cost loans for participants coming into the MBA program. In terms of what criteria are scholarships are based upon. It really is, again, the whole package, but I would say the GMAT/GRE is something that becomes a bit more important when it comes to scholarships.
All right. Speaking of the GMAT, how important is the GMAT score for getting into your MBA program?
Again, I think this is something that I speak a bit for all schools out there, that the GMAT is important, but it is not the most important thing. For us, for sure, the most important thing is the interview. This is really you putting yourself out there, expressing your ideas. Again, we can assess your level of English, sort of that human relatability factor, which is something that's super important for companies, for you getting hired afterwards. And at the end of the day, it's all about hireability.
Great. How should candidates ensure that the recommendation letters will serve their purpose in front of the MBA admission committee?
Sure. Regarding references or recommendation letters, same thing. I always recommend the following. I think that people who are applying for the program should take the time to, first of all, ask, of course, to contact these people that they think would be good references. It's usually professional references, not academic. However, if you're on the younger side and you don't have that much experience, of course, the minimum 3 years of experience, but you have like maybe 3 or 4, you could use a former professor as one of your 2. But especially as you've gotten more experience under your belt, it's more about professional experiences. But what I was going to say is that take the time to explain to them why you want to do an MBA. Perhaps invite them for a coffee or a lunch, which I think shows appreciation, first of all, but also keeps that relationship going. And remind them of some of your professional achievements of which you're proud, which will help them do their job. In other words, help them to help you.
Mm-hmm. Do you require a language test in addition to the GMAT, GRE, and if so, why?
Sure. I mean, the language tests are measuring your ability, in this case, in English, whereas the GMAT or GRE is supposed to measure your ability in business skill. So it's not the same thing. I know there's a bit of crossover if you're taking the GMAT in English, which is the format in which it's offered, but it's not the same thing. So as far as English skill, we need to be sure that our students, our participants in the program, can not only understand the professors, but they can be understood, not only by professors, but fellow students. I mean, in an MBA program as small as this, it's all about interaction. And I would, not sure if I should, but perhaps make the argument that you might learn more from your fellow participants in the program than professors. Because although this professor is, probably PhD, published, very well, knowledgeable and respected in his field or her field, it's just one person at the end of the day. So it's important that the participants in the program can understand each other with fluidity, and that it's not a blocking point for growth and development. Does that answer your question?
Yeah,
okay.
A very interesting point. All right, and what do you look for in a CV or a resume, and how is it different from a job application?
For the most part, I think a CV or resume for an MBA program isn't differing that much from a job application. You do want to, I would say, apart from your identity information, which needs to be up to date, clear, including your country code, an email address that are up to date, and so on, you want to probably also include your citizenship or ships. This is something that could speak towards diversity, and as one of our scholarships is a diversity scholarship, that's something that if you are a dual national, that is to your advantage. Next, begin with your professional experience. Now, if you've got maybe 8, 10 or more years of experience, you might have quite a bit, and you might want to narrow it down to relevant professional experience. But I think this is, again, true for a job application. Then followed by education, skills, and perhaps include a small section about personal interests, which gives a bit more color and, makes you human. Beyond that, I don't see too many differences in the two.
Great.
Something I was going to say, but
Great. So you've answered all of the questions. Is there anything else you'd like to add, maybe that we haven't covered?
Sure. I think it's important that, again, do your research, but also be yourself. I think a lot of people try to project an image of themselves that may or may not be who they really are. And at the end of the day, it's all about fit. Sure, you can look at a list of rankings, and there's so many different rankings out there that you have to wonder what is the methodology, and the reality is they're all very different. There's word of mouth, things you hear about schools. You talk to alumni, you talk to current students, so you have this impression of what it's about and who you're supposed to be, and you want to put your best foot forward. But if you're not being who you really are, it's probably not going to end up being a right fit at the end. And I think you're not doing yourself any advantage if you do that. So it's about putting yourself out there and being the best version of you, but being sincere and true to yourself. And knowing the schools out there as best as possible to see what is the best fit.
Great. Thank you
Sure.
for your time.
Thank you.